In 1492, Christopher Columbus set sail from Spain. He was searching for a new route to the East Indies. Instead, he stumbled upon a land unknown to Europeans. This land was America. Columbus's discovery marked the beginning of a new era. It opened up the Western Hemisphere to exploration and colonization. European powers raced to establish colonies in this new land. They were driven by the promise of wealth and resources. The Spanish, French, and English all vied for control. The arrival of Europeans had a profound impact on the indigenous populations. They brought with them diseases that ravaged native communities. They also introduced new ways of life and systems of governance. The clash of cultures between Europeans and Native Americans shaped the early history of America. It laid the groundwork for the diverse and complex nation it would become. From these humble beginnings, a new chapter in human history was about to unfold. Along the Atlantic coast of North America, 13 colonies emerged. They were founded by settlers seeking religious freedom and economic opportunity. These colonies were governed by Great Britain. They relied on trade with their mother country for survival. Life in the colonies was hard. Colonists faced harsh winters, disease, and conflict with Native Americans. Over time, the colonies developed their own identities. They established their own governments and economies. The colonists began to see themselves as distinct from their British counterparts. They cherished their hard-won freedoms and self-reliance. The seeds of independence were sown. As the colonies grew, so did their confidence. They began to question the fairness of British rule. They resented taxes imposed without their consent. The stage was set for a dramatic showdown with the most powerful empire of the time. A new nation, conceived in liberty, was about to be born. In 1775, tensions between the American colonies and Great Britain reached a boiling point. The colonists, fueled by the ideas of Enlightenment thinkers, demanded greater autonomy. They believed in their right to self-governance. The British, determined to maintain control over their valuable colonies, refused to compromise. The American Revolution began with the battles of Lexington and Concord. Colonial militias, led by men like George Washington, took up arms against British forces. The Declaration of Independence, signed on July 4, 1776, proclaimed the colony's separation from Great Britain. The Revolutionary War was a long and bloody struggle. The colonists, outnumbered and outgunned, fought bravely for their freedom. With the help of France, they ultimately defeated the British. The Treaty of Paris, signed in 1783, formally recognized American independence. A new nation founded on the principles of liberty and self-government had emerged on the world stage. Following independence, the United States faced internal divisions. Slavery, a practice inherited from the colonial era, became a major point of contention. The southern states, reliant on slave labor for their agricultural economy, resisted calls for abolition. The northern states, increasingly industrialized, opposed the expansion of slavery. Tensions escalated until 1861, when 11 southern states seceded from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America. The Civil War had begun. The war was a brutal and bloody conflict. It pitted brother against brother and tore the nation apart. President Abraham Lincoln, a staunch opponent of slavery, led the Union to victory. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued in 1863, declared the freedom of slaves in Confederate territories. The Civil War ended in 1865 with the surrender of the Confederacy. It marked the end of slavery in the United States. The nation had paid a heavy price for its freedom. Reconstruction, the process of rebuilding the South and integrating former slaves into society, began. The journey towards equality and justice for all Americans was far from over. Section 5. The Rise of Industry, Transforming a Nation. The late 19th century witnessed an unprecedented period of industrial growth in America. New technologies such as the steam engine, electricity, and the telephone revolutionized industry and communication. Factories sprang up in cities, attracting millions of workers from rural areas and overseas. The rise of industry brought profound changes, creating vast wealth for some but also leading to income inequality and labor unrest. The United States transformed from an agrarian society to an industrial powerhouse, becoming a global leader in manufacturing and innovation. Section 6. A World at War: America's Entry onto the Global Stage. The early 20th century saw the world engulfed in two devastating world wars. The United States, initially reluctant to get involved, was drawn into both conflicts. In 1917, after German submarines attacked American ships, the United States entered World War I. American troops helped turn the tide of the war in favor of the Allies. After the war, the United States retreated into isolationism. However, the rise of fascism in Europe during the 1930s once again threatened global peace. In 1941, Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor plunged the United States into World War II. The United States played a pivotal role in defeating Nazi Germany and Japan. American soldiers fought bravely on multiple fronts from Europe to the Pacific. The war had a profound impact on American society. It led to increased industrial production, technological advancements, and a shift in the global balance of power. The United States emerged from the war as a superpower, assuming a leading role in shaping the post-war world order. Section 7. The Fight for Equality, the Civil Rights Movement. Despite the end of slavery, African Americans continued to face discrimination and segregation in the United States. The Civil Rights Movement, which gained momentum in the 1950s, sought to end racial segregation and achieve equal rights for all Americans. Inspired by leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., who preached nonviolent resistance, African Americans challenged Jim Crow laws in the South. They organized boycotts, sit-ins, and marches to demand equal access to education, voting rights, and public accommodations. The movement faced fierce opposition from white supremacists. Despite violence and intimidation, the civil rights movement achieved significant victories. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 ensured that all citizens had the right to vote regardless of their race. The civil rights movement was a testament to the courage and determination of African Americans in their fight for equality. It transformed American society and inspired movements for social justice around the world. The end of the 20th century and the dawn of the new millennium brought significant changes to the United States. The fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of the Cold War. The United States emerged as the sole superpower, facing new challenges in a multipolar world. Globalization, fueled by technological advancements and the rise of the internet, connected people and economies like never before. The United States experienced an economic boom in the 1990s, driven by the growth of the tech industry. The September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks shook the nation to its core. The attacks led to wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and increased security measures at home. The election of Barack Obama as the first African-American president in 2008 was historic. The late 20th and early 21st centuries witnessed the rise of the digital age. The internet, once a niche technology used by academics and researchers, became an integral part of everyday life. The development of personal computers, smartphones, and social media platforms transformed the way people communicate, consume information, and interact with the world. The United States, with its entrepreneurial spirit and culture of innovation, played a leading role in the digital revolution. Silicon Valley, home to tech giants like Apple, Google, and Facebook, became a global center for technological advancement. E-commerce, online banking, and digital entertainment became ubiquitous. The digital age brought about tremendous opportunities but also new challenges. Concerns about privacy, cybersecurity, and the spread of misinformation emerged. The digital divide, the gap between those with access to technology and those without, became a growing concern. The United States continued to grapple with the implications of the digital revolution, seeking to harness its potential while mitigating its risks. The 21st century presented the United States with a complex and rapidly changing world. The rise of China as an economic and military power shifted the global balance of power. Terrorism, climate change, and global pandemics posed new threats to national and international security. The United States, while still a global leader, faced growing competition and challenges to its hegemony. Domestically, the United States grappled with political polarization, social unrest, and economic inequality. The COVID-19 pandemic, which emerged in 2020, tested the nation's resilience and exposed deep divisions within society. The pandemic also highlighted the importance of global cooperation and the interconnectedness of the world. Despite the challenges, the United States continued to demonstrate its capacity for innovation, resilience, and leadership on the world stage. American scientists, entrepreneurs, and activists played key roles in addressing global challenges, from developing life-saving vaccines to advocating for human rights. The United States remained a beacon of hope and opportunity for many around the world. Today, the United States stands at a crossroads. The decisions made will shape the destiny of the nation and the course of the 21st century. As a global leader, the United States must promote peace, security, and prosperity. Addressing internal challenges like racial injustice and economic inequality is crucial. Navigating global challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and terrorism is essential. America's story is one of innovation, resilience, and the pursuit of a more perfect union.